The internet says that anyone can draw on a photo after the fact, but only a few are going to take the time to break down the entire photo for the sake of elevating the entire community and teaching the photographer's eye. For this particular image, I'm going to expose for the highlight, and that means basically the sky area is what I'm going to expose and set my metering so that it's not blown out. And as a result, that means the shadows of the frame are going to drop to black, and it's the perfect recipe for a silhouette photo. And the lighting of this scene in terms of the depth is that the background is backlit and the foreground is in shadow. So once I have that exposure set, I can play around with the positioning of the camera. In this case, I get really low. And because I get low and the ground is a little bit shiny, that leads to a reflection. And generally when I shoot with a wider angle lens in a scene, I like to use some type of foreground element in order to reduce the amount of free space that I have to play with in the frame. So here I'm going to use this trash can as a foreground framing element. I'm also using these two architectural elements right here to further frame where I'm going to place the subject. There's basically leading lines that go from the right to the left that help create visual reference of how you're supposed to scan the scene. We only have a little bit of room to play with in terms of where it makes sense to place the subject. And that is going to be this frame right here. You're going to need to time it perfectly so that you can have good separation of the body to create a clear subject. So in this case, make sure that I have separation between the two legs to create a very strong silhouette. I think the main critique I have for myself is actually the placement of his head. When it comes to the placement, I kind of wish that these two gaps right here were going to be equal, but I was aiming for more of the feet, so I did intentionally frame the gap right here and the gap right here to be generally the same distance so that it makes a very clear visual reference for us to look and see this character that's walking through the frame. I'm making sure to keep as minimal colors as possible and also drop a lot of the secondary colors down to shadow. And I think the main colors that we're really seeing in this scene is going to be kind of like that burnt orange, and then we have the accent of this like teal, and those two are complementary colors. And I think the final color that like actually stands out is going to be this kind of like gold color right here. And I intentionally made sure to have the sky exposed higher so that it's more of a pastel look and doesn't distract from those main three colors. And as a finishing touch, a little bit of halation right here that's added within VSCO Pro editing. If you want to see more photography breakdowns and annotations, please comment more down below.